Hey everyone, welcome back. Today we have another review. It's of the Umarex G36c Sportline by Elite Force. Now this gun is originally manufactured by a company called S&T, a relatively new company on the Airsoft scene. I did get to use this gun in a game, and I was very impressed by it. It performed great. It had a good rate of fire. It was very modular. And it was just overall, it was a really fun gun to use for, a CQB type game we were playing. But other than that, let's get right into the review. Alright, so before we take a look into the actual gun, let me show you guys what this gun comes with. Now, keep in mind this gun is $165. It's a Sportline, and it's completely licensed by Heckler & Koch from Umarex. First thing you get is an 8.4 volt Intellect 1600 mAh small type battery. This is going to be about the best battery you're going to be able to fit in this gun. I wouldn't go much higher than this unless you plan to upgrade the internals. But this is a very good battery. It's going to last you all day, and it's just going to work very well. It's very nice to see that companies like Umarex and Elite Force are putting a good named battery inside their gun. Intellect is a very good battery company. I use these all the time. Great feature that this comes with. You also have all this paperwork here. You're going to get some Elite Force stuff. Then you're also going to get these two cards right here. Now, these two cards are kind of your gun registration and, kind of like a warning. I would say it's a don't return the gun to the store. You want to return it direct to the manufacturer because this gun is covered by a 60-day manufacturer's warranty. So if anything happens to the gun within 60 days and you haven't opened up the gearbox, you're pretty much set to get a new gun. It's a really nice feature, and I wish more airsoft companies would include this in their guns. You're also going to get the manual, nothing special. It's in like 8 different languages, pretty good. Tells you how to use your gun. No parts breakdown though, kind of a disappointment. Alright, so starting off towards the back of the gun, we do have the side folding skeleton stock. These are pretty common to all G36 models in airsoft. This is the G36c model though, so the stock is a bit smaller. Now, one thing that did disappoint me about this stock was that the butt was not rubberized. It was just the same stock as, or the same stock plastic as was on the original stock. Another thing that kind of disappointed me, but was expecting it, was that there was a big seam running down the middle of the stock. Now, you gotta remember, this is a Sportline gun that's fully licensed by H&K, so cuts did have to be made. But other than that, the stock, it does fold to the side, locks into place very well. It also does have a sling mount near the back, and it also has the body retaining pin area just behind the button to release the stock. Other than that, it's pretty much a standard G36c design. Alright, so moving on towards the main body of the gun, you do have this rear 1-point sling mount, which I have attached a 1-point sling so you can see the use of it. It's pretty much built to the main body, so you can trust it. It's not going to break on you. The gun's also very light, so I wouldn't see your sling breaking or the sling mount breaking at any time. You also have an ambidextrous fire selector switch. Nice thing about the fire selector switch is it does click into place very well, does its job. It doesn't hiccup on semi-auto or lockup or anything. Very nice. Just in front of the fire selector switch you have the H&K trademark from Umarex. I think these look really nice. They are engraved into the body, and as you can see in the sort of off tan color, they have the C and then the serial number. And I think that just makes it stand out from other G36 models on the market today. In front of the trademarks you have your magazine and magazine release. And the magazine is a 400 or something round high cap, standard type G36 design. Magazine well, fits the mags pretty nicely. There is a little bit of wobble, but nothing too major. I didn't encounter any feeding issues at all, which was a big plus. Now, a con of this gun, which, kinda sucks, was the big warning and, reflect owner's manual engraved into the side of the body. Not very authentic and makes it look more like a toy than an airsoft gun. But other than that, the main body is actually very nice. Alright, so moving towards the upper rail, you do have a full-length monolithic rail on the top, excluding the front and back iron sights. Now, the front iron sight is just there. You can remove it, but it's non-adjustable. And the back sight is adjustable for elevation and windage. It also has two different apertures. The one you can see now is the small circle aperture right there. And then when you do flip it down, you have a more leaf-bladed aperture. Now, these sights are going to be pretty effective because I have mounted a nice little hollow sight on there. I think it makes the gun look really nice. And it also shows the modularity of the rail. One thing about the rail though is it is indeed plastic, but I do have my optic on there pretty securely. It's not going anywhere. But yeah, the rail was plastic, kind of a downside, but it still gets the job done. You also have the charging handle here. Exposes your hop up on the other side. I'll show you that in a sec. Now, one of the coolest features I thought was about this gun was the charging handle and the bolt assembly. On most G36 models, you can really only pull the charging handle back, say, that far to expose your hop up and, do your adjustments and such, and then it slings forward like nothing else. But the SMT version is a little bit different because it has like a full travel bolt assembly. So you can pull it all the way back, you can see the gearbox, you can get full access into your hop up chamber. And then when you do end up releasing it, it does make a pretty nice sound or clank to it, even though it is all plastic. Now, on the left side, you can also see the engravings just beneath the ejection port. You have your standard Umarex warning, and then you have another Umarex trademark. These ones are a little bit better because they're not painted white, and they're a little bit, you can't really see them as well. So they're definitely trying to improve on this, I think, but they're still there, kind of a con to some people who don't want a big warnings engraved into their gun. Now, the front handguard on this G36c was another nice feature that I liked. For starters, they include all three rails for the handguard. I know companies like JG, they only tend to put the bottom rail on, so you'd have to go spend another $20 to get the two extra rails if you wanted them. This is nice because it's already there, you're saving money, and the gun's already a Sportline model, so you're already saving money there, and they give you the two extra rails for free. So really nice touch there. I'm glad Elite Force and Umarex USA were able to do this. It just makes the gun look better and, better out of the box for the player. This is also where the battery compartment is. You have to push out this gray pin, comes out all the way, you slide off your handguard. Battery compartment is revealed. You're pretty much only going to be able to fit the included 8.4 volt battery in there unless you go for a 7.4 LiPo. Now, one of the biggest cons I found about this gun was the outer barrel and flash hider assembly. The entire outer barrel on this gun and flash hider is of a pretty cheap plastic. When I first got this gun, I was going to throw on more steel G36c type flash hider. But I just couldn't figure out how to get the flash hider off, and when I would try to get it off, it was actually bending the outer barrel. So I decided not to do that and just leave it on there. I'm not sure if this gun has threads or not. It might not, but don't take my word for it. It's just something that I didn't want to investigate further because I thought I might break the gun. Alright, so we're ready to field strip this gun down at the gearbox, show you guys the insides of it, but before we do that, let's take a few steps of safety and, make it a little bit easier on yourself when you are taking apart your gun. First thing you'll want to do is make sure your gun is clear. There's no round in the chambers, there's no battery in the gun. So remove your magazine. Your battery is in your gun, you're already set, so just set it on semi-auto. Set it in a safe direction. You'll make sure the gun's free of any ammo. It'll also reset the spring, so when you are taking the gearbox apart, it makes it a little bit easier. Now let's take out our battery, push out the front rear pin, or the frontmost pin, small little gray pin. Now the nice thing about this G36 is it does have the small holes in the back so you can actually store your pins. You won't have to worry about them. Take out your front handguard, shows your battery. One thing I did find about this gun was the battery space was a little bit janky. It was very tight even with this battery. You have to get it in there just right or you're going to have some problems. So we got the battery out, gun is clear, and the next thing I like to do is take off any accessories you have on your gun. I do this personally just because I think it's a little bit easier to work on your gun when there's not, extra weight on it or anything. So include slings, sights like this EOTech up here, anything that's not original from your gun, just take it off. It'll make it a little bit easier later on. Alright, so your next step here is you have a body pin in the mag well. You're going to want to push this out. You might need a tool. It is a little bit tight fit. Take that body pin out and store it back in the stock. Like I said, really nice feature with the stock there. When you remove that body pin, basically you'll be able to pull down on the mag well and completely remove it. Now from here, you're going to want to loosen your outer and inner barrel assembly just a little bit because you have to pull the gearbox out. So what you will need is a Phillips screwdriver. You want to remove set screw here, set screw there, and then just on this side, the small screw here. So you can do that now. Make sure, guys, if you are taking your guns apart, you have a nice clean work area. It'll save you the hassle of losing parts and such. Now this last bolt near the front does have a small nut on the other side to keep it in place, so make sure you do not lose that. And then from there your barrel assembly will slide slightly forward. And just lost the screw. Alright, from here you'll want to remove the rearmost body pin right here, just behind the select switch. You can pull that out, set it to the back of your gun. And then from this stage, make sure your barrel is all the way forward, and you can basically just pull down on your entire gearbox assembly and lower receiver. Now, if for any reason you want to disassemble the body further, you do still have a few things you can do. Excuse me. Now, one thing I couldn't figure out was this barrel assembly. I could not figure out how to get it out. I mean, I've tried and tried and tried, and I cannot figure out how to get it out. So I won't be able to show you guys the inner barrel and hop-up unit, but I can tell you that the hop-up unit is very effective. It uses a two-fin type design for the bucking and nubs, so it's very accurate, very consistent. I can just say it's a very well designed hop-up unit in here. But if you want to disassemble, you do have some more steps you can take. Fold your stock, and you'll see this metal plate down here. Basically what you can do is just pull down on that metal plate, and it'll basically remove the spring guide and charging handle assembly. It'll all fall out right through the back. So if for any reason, say this breaks and you need a replacement part, it's just as simple as removing the gearbox, and you can take out those three components. But other than that, let's get the gearbox out of the lower assembly. It's pretty simple. You have 3 screws. You want to remove those. There are Phillips heads. And this will release the geez, these things are torqued in here. You want to remove those screws, and then the motor plate can come off. And then the last step before you can remove your gearbox from the shell is you have this small pin just above the trigger to the left a little bit. You want to push that out. Just like that. And from there, set your gun to semi-automatic, and your gearbox will slide right out. Now let me clean this area up and get a little closer zoom on the gearbox so I can show you guys the internals. Alright, so the final conclusion on the Elite Force G36c. I did get to use this gun in a game a couple days ago, and I really liked it. I mean, I don't really know what to say. I mean, it wasn't that its performance blew me away or that its external build quality blew me away. It was just that it was a really nice, fun gun to run around with and use, because not only did it look good and it was modular, but it also worked where it needed it to. It's got a pretty good rate of fire, an 8.4 volt battery. It's fairly accurate. The hop-up unit is excellent, and as you can see, you can mount accessories everywhere. I got a Magpul AFG, I got an EOTech sight. You have 2 more rails. You can double stack your mags together. It's really nice. You can customize it a lot. I would recommend this gun towards newer players though. Some more older players and people who have seen a lot of guns, they'll look at this and be like, wow, this is really cheaply made. But if you can get over that fact, it's a very nice gun. I would recommend this to new players. It does come with a battery, a 60-day warranty, and it'll definitely be a good starter gun. Other than that, you know, 165 bucks, full HK trades, internally sound, pretty decent gun from Elite Force. Thanks for watching, guys, and stay tuned to my other videos.